Mr. Banerjee? Sorry, Dr. Banerjee, could you
Yes,
please?
sir. Am I audible?
You are audible, and I can see you in front of, what is this, Raj Bhavan or what?
Raj Bhavan. This was, I think, 2022, 2020, just before lockdown.
Okay.
This was when we were invited by the then governor, Shri Jagdeep Dhankar, for release of my mom's book, I guess.
So we are very proud to have you today. What we'll do is we'll start off the event and people will join in slowly. In fact, we are also going live on YouTube and Facebook, so we'll be having questions further on during the day. When can I expect your video to come on? It's still off.
It can be any time.
Please, sir. Okay. It's nice always interacting with you. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you all to today's members forum. This is the 5th in the series, and we have many more to come. But today we are being joined by Dr. Arijit Banerjee, who is a friend of mine, a friend of Calcutta Management Association, a patron, I should not use the word, but a friend, absolutely a friend in need, a friend of IMA, All India Management Association. And he has much to tell us today. I will not take his time, but I'll just introduce him as a friend. And during his course of his interactions with you, which I think, as I understand from him, he'll be speaking for not more than 30 minutes, and then he will open it up for Q&A session. So if you have any questions after his session, you can raise your hand on the chat box. We'll give you the chance to directly interact with him. Or if you wish to, you can send a line on the chat box, which I can read and I can ask the question, which is always my pleasure and privilege. So may I request Dr. Arijit Banerjee to kindly take us through this session today on social entrepreneurship. He is a social entrepreneur. He was a professional. He is, what should I say, many things to say, but in a nutshell, may I request him to please describe what he means by social entrepreneurship and where he sees the social entrepreneurship of India in the times to come. Request Dr. Banerjee to please take.
Thank you, Anirban. Thank you. I think this is a great honor for me to be a part of this session on Members Forum through Calcutta Management Association. Hearty thanks to Anirban, for taking me in. I don't know how much justice I'll be able to do this to the session that he has actually handed over to me, but I will try to do some kind of experimentation with myself, my speaking abilities, and at the same time, maybe to some extent make you live go through some kind of examples which has happened during our journey as an entrepreneur, and maybe how we have overcome that one, or how today's business are going to be a sustainable business in the long run. So welcome once again, everyone. I think me being a life member of IMA and CMA, I welcome all of you once again to this members forum, which is a very enriching forum. I think I have been attending for the last 1 month, whatever sessions have been happening, and they are typically designed by Anirban very nicely so that we can have evening session. Bangalira adda dite khub bhalobashi, sort of evening adda of North Calcutta, I guess, which happens over live streaming and all. So thank you so much once again for all the participants who have joined. And to start with, I would like to just make a broad outline of what exactly is the difference between an entrepreneurship and a social entrepreneurship. So if there are, I think, almost like 13-14 participants, if I'm not wrong. So if you are willing to say something about this difference, you're welcome to write this on the chat box, and we can take it up from there. So I welcome all of you to write your experience about the difference between an entrepreneurship and a social entrepreneurship. I'll give a quick 30 seconds maybe, so people can write down if they have something to describe about this or their experience about this. I can also invite Anirban to write on this actually. So people who know me, they have started writing on my personal WhatsApp chat box. I wanted them to write on their, this forum. Anyways, but what I can gather from my mobile chat box is that people have a notion that social entrepreneurship is all about, doing something for the society, and the larger cause should be like you're serving the society by large. Now, even I had that notion almost 6 months back. But when I started doing my advanced management diploma with IIT Kharagpur, some time back, we actually were made to go through this kind of a journey where we need to write down what exactly is the difference. And whatever I see people writing today, the same was there in our forum as well. We started writing the same thing. The clear differentiation between entrepreneurship and a social entrepreneurship is that even social entrepreneurship has to be profitable, because if they are not profitable, they cannot be sustainable. So in the long run, if we are looking at an enterprise who are making profit, it's actually expected that business will make profit, but how you use your profit is more important, and that is what the thin line between making an entrepreneurship into a profitable venture and a social venture. So that's very practical about it, not very bookish. I will not go by the bookish dictums of what exactly are the nature differences and all. But that is what we have learned and we have experienced over the last few years, that people who are into social entrepreneurship, they definitely take profit, but the profit is used for a cause further. And coming to this, I would like to highlight that, because today we are all talking about sustainable thing, because हमारे बचपन में ये हम लोग को सिखाया जाता था कि you need roti, kapda and makan, which is very basics of life. But with life, which has a style now, because life is no more life without a style, you have a lifestyle kind of a thing. So when this comes into picture, everything is indeed bigger. How it is bigger? Like roti, kapda and makan has become butter roti for my say, and makan means a big flat or a bada makan. And when you come to kapda, it's like a branded kapda. So all of us are habitual to this kind of a life which has a style. But fortunately, unfortunately, I think everybody of us have never thought of something like COVID. And COVID period, this entire lockdown and the post-COVID era has taught us so many things about how we can actually self-actualize ourselves. And my personal opinion is that every individual who are about to be 40 or beyond 40, in mid of 40s, they should relook at lives and sustainability of their own lives as well. Because हम लोग क्या करते हैं ना, मेरा भी ऐसा ही था कभी, कि हम लोग जॉब करते करते एकदम ऐसा सिचुएशन में चले जाते हैं जहां पे वी आर वेरी कंफर्टेबल वर्किंग विद अदर्स or working for others. There should be a time or break taken when you need to work for yourself. And I think the ideal time is, giving the baton to the next generation or the next set of people who are passing out, or maybe who are into ventures and all, and start a small kind of entrepreneurship that's in the 40s and mid 40s. That's an ideal time, because that's the maximum time where you can take a risk. Beyond that, the risk taking capabilities also declines for our own selves. When we come to sustenance, I guess the basic fundamentals of business I will talk about. I have identified personally almost like 7 fundamentals of business, which every businessman or entrepreneur would be going the same way. Be it the unicorn, be it a billionaire company, the Fortune 500 companies, or maybe a small MSME unit even. So the basics for all these businesses are almost same, and they actually leverage on 7 individualistic approaches. And if you want me to summarize them, I can summarize saying that the marketing or lead generation, sales, which actually makes a lot of communication and result into kind of a lead generation converted to revenue. Then here comes operations. Then here comes R&D, which is if you have a product or service, you need to continuously do a market research for the entire thing. And if you have a manufacturing unit, then you have to do a continuous analysis of your competitors and the available resources versus what is the demand in the market currently. then your financial backbone of the organization, the accounts and the administrative sections, and finally, of course, the HR. So most of the time, what happens, what is believed in a small unit, of course, all of us who are working as a professional, they will always experience that there are different verticals and different department and compartmentalization in any big organization. However, when we talk about MSMEs or SMEs, we really find that this compartmentalization is not possible. There are two things. Maybe one is paucity of fund. Number two is the entrepreneur himself or herself wants to do many activities because of to either to manage costs, or maybe they understand that they are the best managers in the world, so they can do anything in their own arena. But finally, what happens if you are not compartmentalizing these things? What is about to happen, maybe in a year or two, is that you once again fall into a trap, the trap of self-employment. So it's more like in the entire spree of doing some kind of a cost cutting or mitigation of your cost and resources, you actually kill your own times, kill your own individual and personalistic resources, which leads you to frustration very soon. So we have seen that in a business narrative, it is normally said that any business has a gestation period of 3 to 5 years. So if you are not giving 3 to 5 years to a business, you cannot actually expect any kind of sustenance, or the viability of the business cannot be checked. But if the entrepreneur himself or herself gets frustrated in 1, 2, or the third year itself, then the business do not have a future at all. But this is what most likely happens in case of small entrepreneurship. So managing that cost and managing that thin line of differences between the departments and your own management skills has to be taken care of. And I personally agree that individual can be good in 1 or 2 things, but managing 7 things, the 7 basics and fundamentals of business, is very difficult for a single individual. What next can happen is, it's like another tips which we have personally faced, and I think that is the most crucial part of the journey. That is how you manage your business finance and your personal finances. So once you are doing a job, there is a pretty secured salary which comes to your account every month, at the end of the month or the beginning of the month. But once you start your own journey, this security goes away. So you have to be making yourself secure at some point of time or the other. And this is what is going to take care of you personally or your immediate family personally for the long run. However, if you do not mitigate your business finances and your personal finances and carry them together. In fact, yesterday night only I was discussing the same thing with one of the hotel entrepreneurs who is starting some kind of a new model in Jhargram, and they had a similar problem. So managing the finance is the most crucial part, and it's the most extensive part which needs to be taken care from day one. So I would request anybody and everybody who is actually planning or maybe already into small entrepreneurship to manage this part very well from day one. We have faced it. We know how it is difficult to overcome over a period of time if it is not taken care of from day one. And I think another crucial juncture of the business is that I can do everything, which attitude I have from my day one of doing business, because हमारे तो खानदान में कोई बिजनेस नहीं किया है. आई एम द फर्स्ट जनरेशन एंटरप्रेन्योर, एंड मेरा शादी रुक गया था 2 साल के लिए बिकॉज माय बेटर हाफ बिलोंग्स टू अ वेरी known business family in Calcutta, and my father-in-law there at that point of time said, how mad you are that you are leaving a secure job and you want to do a business. So the perception of business is very good, the practicality of business is very different. So taking that into account, I can tell you that what I have learned from my journey is that from first year to second year, when you jump to a succession planning of the business, you have to also plan it in such a way that how this business can run without your presence. Why do I say that? Because we almost get involved being if you have a baby or have experience of having a baby in the home, you will know how much time you need to devote for that. Similarly, your business will also need that kind of a devotion for the first, second, and third year if you really want to make it grow. But if you do not have access to your family, the ones who are very close to you or who need you at their disposal for from time to time, then this practicality of business do not make any sense. So it is very, very important from day one to understand that how your business will run without you in the long run. So you need to actually step by step understand that what seven sticks I have talking about, or seven compartmentalization I have talked about. That is the key function area which can actually help you get into this too also. The not beyond the debt trap, and also how you can find time and make your business grow without you. Managing a business and managing self, as I told, is very important, because once we start taking out time for ourselves, and back of the mind, it always works, keep on working, that what will happen to the business without me. Many a times till today it so happens that I am in a movie hall, and that particular day only there will be 5 to 7 calls which will come within the movie timings. No other calls throughout the day maybe. So you have to be very assertive about this, and you have to be accessible always. But keeping that in mind, additionally, you have to plan a succession so that somebody in your organization can handle things in lieu of the fact that you are not there. That capability building or capacity building you have to make from day one. I think that's the narrative of a sustainable business that we have seen so far. And what I think Anirban knows the entire story about our journey. In a nutshell, I will tell you what exactly we do and how we do that differently. We started with a very humble journey when 2016 we were doing Swachh Bharat audits, and Swachh Bharat audits was more into making of toilets, if you know. Now, after these toilets were getting made, I think as a policy, the government has decided and declared that there will be so many toilets which has to be made within a time frame. However, nobody has actually taken care, or possibly very less number of people have taken care of the fact that this business model of making a toilet will actually have a bad effect on the groundwater and the water table that we have. So what started happening, see, in urban areas, we don't have much of problem because we have sewage treatment plants and we have effluent treatment plants, and we are very much used to have recycled water. I know many people will actually question that what water we are drinking every day now. So, but in remote and rural areas, the very policy or very effectiveness of water is still the groundwater table, and you will see hand pumps or maybe booster pumps which are available from where they will take drinking water. What happens normally is that if a toilet is made within the 100 meters of a well or a potable drinking water source, the chances of contamination is very high. And of course, the rural health infrastructure is not that good that they can support you any kind of a mass, water or bone disease cases. So we started our journey into making a product which converts the entire solid waste into reusable water. So our entire research was onto that, and we have been pretty successful in a year's time to develop a product like that. And in 2017 onwards, we started making bio toilets, for which we are much known in the entire subcontinent today. And later to that, we started making mobile toilets because we saw there are many melas, there are many occasions which happens throughout the state and especially the eastern part of India, where mobile nature of the toilet can actually help. Number three, we started in 2018, I'm talking about. I typically found out that there are many problems in the city. Number one is, if you go to a Sulabh, it is more of a Durlabh, because you pay but you don't get a chance to use a hygienic toilet. So even after payment, if you do not get that kind of a facility, then it is very questionable whether you live in a very good society or not, because that's the basics of life. And nature's call can come to any people anytime, so you cannot have a control on that one. So we started off thinking that when this is a basic requirement, and today in an urbanized model where everybody want to become affluent, especially people who are in the lower strata of the society, you see their children are also getting better educated. So a time will come in the next 10 to 15 years when their children will not be willing to come back to this kind of a profession like housekeeping or maybe cleaning or maybe generic other purposes which are available today in plenty, especially because the European countries still follow dignity of labor. In subcontinents and third world countries like India, we do not have it. And we are so very proud to say that we're a third world country today. Now, thinking on those lines, we thought that why not make something which is artificial intelligence based? And we started, the prototype making of the first AI integrated auto wash toilets in 2018, which was inaugurated in January actually. And this is how we started making electronic auto wash toilets. So we are the first Indian company who are making that. And this toilet even converts the solid waste into reusable water. Post-COVID, what we did, we integrated certain kind of mechanism and sanitization because sanitization requirements were at its peak. So we introduced some kind of a sanitization mechanism where after every use or a third, fourth use, depending on the hygiene factor required in that particular toilet, it gets totally cleaned and totally sanitized, and it is always next user ready without any intervention of human manpower. And today in Kolkata airport and any other public buildings which you have across the city, you can actually see this kind of toilets being utilized and used. And that is humbly our story. We started, as I told you, in 2016, and today 2023. I think touch wood, we have been enough gracious to God. We never had to look back. And formally, we support the Green Volunteer Project, which is our own brainchild, and we have been driving this across schools and colleges to make awareness at its next level, so that the next generation is aware that what legacy we are leaving for them. So in continuation to what I said so far, I think I will end up with three sentences which might make a mark to everybody. See, ultimately business will be done by anybody and everybody. Even a kirana wala shop jo chalata hai, wo bhi business karta hai. But at the end of the day, your business should contribute somehow or the other to the society. That's very important. That's number one. Number two, I think how much value you are adding in the lives of the people around you. So it might be your immediate family, your extended family, neighbors, relatives. So by doing your entrepreneurship project, what we call as social entrepreneurship, how much value you are adding in your most local available neighborhood. And number three, which is long term, of course, what legacy you are leaving for the next generation. That's very important, because if we do not leave some at least potable water for generation next, we should not actually survive today as an individual. We have been conferred the Toilet Pan of Bengal in 2018, and that's one of the most remarkable feathers on our company's hat. The company name is Ramesis Realty Private Limited. Ramesis RPL is the new name, and we have rebranded us as a Perfect Pause, because that's a pause which is eternal and everybody needs it during a loo break. So that's the company name, reformed in 2020. And I think once again, thank you so much for having a patient listening to my journey and whatever value add I think I can do in terms of social entrepreneurship through my experience and my learnings. I would like to add one more line before I end. I think there are many professionals in the entire forum. However, in my life, I have found that education is useless unless it is useful for your own self. Whatever education I have done in my entire life has come to me of no use as on today. So that might sound very funny, but Anirban knows it better. He's smiling from there, that whatever I have been educated for, my parents have taken so much energy and effort to do that. But I was possibly destined to become, much talked about Jamadar of the city. And so that is how it is. And thank you so much once again for your time. Thank you very much. I'm open to any questions that you wish to ask me, and I'll be love to answering that.
Yeah, I think we'll have a few questions. Just before I ask my question, let me remind all of you, you can raise your hand on the chat box, or you can write your question on the chat box, and we'll ask Dr. Banerjee to respond to them. You may directly ask him also. If you raise your hand, we will give you the rights to speak. But before I ask anyone to do that, Dr. Banerjee, you told that, you rightly said that you are now officially the Jamadar of the city.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to be a really close acquaintance of the person. Just want to know, it is true that nowadays it's easier to find engineers than real Jamadars. That's true. And we who live in the outskirts of the city, who live in the flats, apartments, it is very important. We look for help, means people who can help us in our household activities every day. And we really don't get that. We have to, means, it was only day before yesterday, we had to stand out the night for 2 hours before a municipality, car could come in. Then in the morning, the personnel came in, and then the toilets were clean and all those, that sewage tank and all. I was just wondering, you are saying that the social entrepreneurship means you should give back something to the society, in those lines. In that manner, would you not agree that every businessman would say that actually we are contributing to the society? Like in that manner, everyone becomes a social entrepreneur. Means, for example, I'm saying, I'm thinking aloud. I'm not. I may be wrong, but I'm just thinking aloud. Suppose those people who are manufacturing steel or manufacturing something which makes houses, they're also in that manner social entrepreneurs. Do you think I'm thinking in the right line, or is still a subtle difference between being a social entrepreneur and being an entrepreneur hardcore?
See, my answer to this will be, I look at businessmen very, very, very differently. Okay, and I've been taught to view like that. I think every one of us almost every one of us will think that anybody who is doing business is there to make profit. Of course, profit is the principal factor without which no entrepreneurship can actually exist. Okay, but the thin line of social entrepreneurship versus a normal business will be the volume of contribution in any terms. It might be, as you are telling, that somebody who is making steel and of course making the shelter or houses, they are definitely contributing. They are possibly passively contributing because they are also polluting the environment like anything before making the steel. So that way, if you see, they are in a win-win situation where they are polluting and then contributing. But I think any nature of business which has a profit motive for sustainability, and at the same time they are contributing back to the society, is definitely worth to be called as social entrepreneurship.
Okay. Just because, as you said.
And I think personally, I believe that almost all the people who are actually into business, they are contributing in a larger way, because maybe whatever scale of or volume of business they are into, because they are the real karmadatas. If they have not opened the window or the doors for people to work and get salaries, there will be many lesser number of families who would have survived like this. So whatever lavishness through a job we have today is because of that particular venture only. So we have to, of course, accept and acknowledge their contribution.
Yes, I just forgot that. Yes, I am also an employee. Sorry, I take back my words. Yes, I take back my words.
I have been in similar chairs for 15 years, 16 years almost in India and abroad. So I understand. So when we opened our organization, I think our organization has all the leverages of the employees only as of now. So we take into account every individual employee feedback today in our organization to understand, are we going right or in a wrong direction? And you will not believe, Anirban, we have created an ecosystem where even the last man in the line, like our office boy, the housekeepers and all, they are also a part of the incentive that that is drawn out of the profit by the end of the day.
I do believe you. I really believe you. Not only because you said the last things, but also because I've seen that happen. So I believe that. So any questions from any one of you? I know that there are questions, but probably people are finding it difficult to raise their hands.
Please feel free to ask questions, because without interaction and exchange of thoughts, this session won't be complete. And I have a very selfish thought about why I am asking for questions. because that will also enrich my knowledge. At the same time, if I have a vocabulary which is a mismatch, I'll definitely try to rectify and correct it through this.
Dr. Chattopadhyay is here. We have Mr. Banerjee, who is the Joint Treasurer of CMA. Any one of you, if you wish to say something. Deva Prasad sir, you had switched on your... Yes, Dr. Chattopadhyay, you want to say something?
No, I'm in the transit bus returning from campus back home. And it's great listening to Mr. Arijit Banerjee.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. It's really an honor. Thank you very much. I think there is a question in the chat box, Anirban.
Yes. Yeah.
I am not able to read it out because
yes, one question I can see from Shomili. It is, sir, what other what other social cause do you think entrepreneurs should focus on today's time?
Okay, now that's a very important question of the era we are going through. Before coming to this question, I will go a slide backward. Every social cause not always needs entrepreneurship to address it. Okay. However, if it is addressed by a social entrepreneurship project, then the beauty of that is the profit mindedness is less. So automatically what happens is, the project completion has a timeline, the project cost utilization has an effectiveness, and the entire project has a durability and sustainability. That is what examples show. Why I'm saying this, because I have been able to be a part of I was actually budding one of the entrepreneur and professor from University of Iowa for the last 2-3 months, who is currently based at IIT, and he has done social entrepreneurship, what we are talking about today, way back in 2002 and 3 in the US. So his project was more related to the cause of housing, because I don't know how many people are aware here, but US has a tremendous housing problem. So the rentals are very high. Not many people will have their own homes, and people who have to actually travel far along for job or other necessities, for them life is very tough. So in that kind of a scenario, and where you understand the wages and payments or whatever salaries they get are not on a basis of monthly as we have it here, it's basically hourly and fixed rates. So there is tremendous challenges. That particular issue was taken up by one professor called Jerry Anthony. If you search the internet, you will find him. He's a very famous figure, and I'm really honored to have been barging with him for the last 6-7 months in India. And I found that social entrepreneurship not only should have a cause, but since it is a project-driven activity, it should also have a timeline. The business will also have a timeline. So what happens in case you are into a social entrepreneurship project and you are addressing a cause which is for the masses, then you have to understand there is a shelf life. So if you are taking up a project like Swachh Bharat, if I'm talking about, it has a shelf life of almost 10 to 15 years. After that, this might not be required. The awareness that we are creating today may not be required after 15 years from now. So any social entrepreneurship has to actually hunt for another cause, and that cause has to come to him or has to be identified by him or her well before this particular cause has expiry. So that's the beauty. So you keep on shifting your focus from one to another, and so that you can complete one and go ahead with the other. And the entire journey, what you get is all about experience. That experience is what you leverage in your next set of projects. So as Somili has a question that what is to be focused on in today's time. In today's time, I think the first focus should be, at what age you are taking up a challenge for yourself to become an entrepreneur, because you have a lot of support system which is today for the startups and incubators and anybody who is willing to do business. I think 5 years back, if we look at it, that this was not available. So you're in the right time of doing a business or launching a business. So you have to understand that whether you are able or willing to take that challenge within yourself. If you are willing to do that, this time is very ripe, and I think the next 10 years is going to be for India, and Make in India has a big say in this one. So I think whoever is willing to be into entrepreneurship, please jump in. It's the right time. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Banerjee. May I request Mr. Banerjee to ask a question or give some comments from his side, our Joint Treasurer? Sir, you are muted, sir. Sir, if you could kindly unmute yourself. It's muted. Yeah.
Dr. Arijit Banerjee, Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir. Thank you.
It was quite a new topic. So far, I know that TIS is having a course, 2 years postgraduate course on social entrepreneurship.
Right.
I don't know whether other institutions are there. Might be some other institutions are also coming up, because as you rightly said, last 4 or 5 years, the things are having this kind of emergence of social entrepreneurship in a bigger platform. Tell us something about the funding agencies, because this is obviously not for getting or grabbing a job, rather than creating jobs for the others. Okay. So, but those, as a young professional, say somebody below 25, around 25, now she or he intends to be a social entrepreneur. Might be there are so many rosy pictures, but who is going to fund them with their, very paltry kind of knowledge or experience? So how the funding issue will be response to their call. If you kindly highlight this issue, because I think there are quite a young men and women are there. They will be also benefited by your viewpoint. Thank you, sir.
Sir, basically, once we are talking about social entrepreneurship, the avenues are big. And if we are talking about funding agencies, the government today is taking personal initiative to fund causes and projects. So the first thing that you have to do is a detailed study of what exactly you want to do, and the project details has to be very crucially and vividly designed. Number two, you have to make a report that what is the extent of business or the financials which will be achieved in first year, second year, and third year. This is the basic requirement, basis which the Ministry of MSME, Government of India already have so many schemes which is live and available, and they can be availed. Apart from that, you have funding from Startup India. You have currently fundings available from forums like the MSME forums, which are private agencies as well, and even bankings of all nature, private bankings and your government banks, public sector banks. They also actually abide by these policy schemes which have been launched by Government of India, Ministry of MSME. So funding avenues are big. In case you have a very bright idea, you can actually go ahead and log into the yearly project of the central government, which is Hackathon, which is once again launched by Ministry of MSME. So you have similar ideathons which are released by incubation centers across the colleges and institutes and universities throughout the country. So I think the basic requirement is not only funding, it is about a solid idea which can change lives, which can change your surroundings, which can change the picture of your country altogether. And we have seen that post-COVID, the nature of Make in India product that has happened is possibly the one of the biggest in the entire decade. And possibly we have never realized or understood our potential, that what we can do. So we were still, for the last 50, 60 years, we have been taking things from outside, depending on imports and all. But all of a sudden, I think within 6 months, we found out that we can be the biggest exporters as well. So that's a sea change if you start believing in yourself. So anything can be done. We can do anything that we can think of.
And Dr. Arijit, when did this particular thought crop up in your mind to pursue this kind of career? Because I think that is very, 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 very encouraging for quite, as you said, that mid-40s are the best time to look into this kind of adventurous thing. Can you please explore? Although it is very personal.
Honestly, I will tell you, it was very, it was a very personal cause, and once again, Anirban is aware about it. And if I once again tell it, my wife will come up with a stick saying that you say the same thing every time. But since you have asked this, this journey would have been not complete. Everybody says that there is a woman behind you who actually keeps on motivating you and tell you to do different things differently. In my case, it was two, my mother and my wife. They were behind me possibly, and that is why I always say your family support is more important if you are trying to venture out, because unless you have that support, you cannot do anything. So it so happened that we were like returning from Delhi, and my wife got attacked with dengue in Rajdhani. And after coming to Calcutta, she had to be hospitalized. And I think we are doing a fabulous job both outside. And if you are talking about comfort of job and comfort of monthly incomings, that was not a pure crisis anytime. But what was thought provoking was that she had to be hospitalized and she had to stay in the hospital for 3-4 days or 5 days, if I'm not wrong. And the last day when she was supposed to get released, a night before that, I was scheduled to travel to Ranchi for some audits, and I was supposed to head the chair for audits, so I cannot be late. And she had only one desire, that why don't you have flight eligibility, you can go tomorrow morning and you will land in Ranchi by 10 o'clock and you can chair the meeting. So possibly that was thought provoking, because I could not, contemplate to her requirements and actually complement the requirement to stay by her bedside when she was most critically in need of. And the entire night when I was traveling, I thought that what this job has, irrespective of whatever salary I was getting, 5 figures, 7 figures, 10 figures. But if I cannot be by the bedside of my only and closest member of the family when they are in need of me. So the moment I came back in December, I shot my resignation saying that, it's enough. And the first thing I think appreciable, which my boss called and told me that, are you very serious about, the change? So I said, yes, boss, I am really. And he has been my mentor for a long time. And then he said, it is the very ideal time, because I have been into this trap of not coming out of job for many, many years. So if you have taken a decision, please go ahead and fulfill your fascinating wishes of life. And I am touched wood. I am very lucky that I have got a family who have been supportive in the entire duration of struggle and whatever we are doing today. And that what makes you rock firm and come to business. Because as I told you, मेरे खानदान में किसी ने business नहीं किया है आज तक. So I am the first generation into entrepreneurship maybe. And on the other side, my in-laws are all businessmen only for 3 to 4 generations now. So they know the painstaking in business, and they never wanted me to come to a business juncture as well. But today, I think even my father-in-law is very happy, because last time when we did a automated toilet for the entire chief of state of West Bengal, and that is being run in the convoy. So he was the person who came to the RTO and said, "Can I have a selfie with you with the toilet? Because I know you are very famous now." So I think that's the most rewarding part that I have in my life as of now, that you get apart from any award.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Arijit. I look forward to meeting in person sometime.
Sure, sir.
Sir, if I may,
yes.
Sir, if I may just put in here, you might have heard in the executive committee meeting that we had discussed last month. In October, we are with Arijit only. He is the person, he's the brain behind it. We will be having this MSME conclave in Guwahati. CMA is going to collaborate with the eastern part of the northeastern part of the country, and he has already spoken to the MSME government of India. So whatever he spoke till now, and whatever ideas he thought of, he really came out with, we are going to implement that in the month of October. So I think you will have more opportunities of interacting with him after a few days. So
nice.
So
thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. We have one more question, but just we'll take two more. One is, sir asked you, and you gave a history of how you started entrepreneurship. But how did you start this toilet man of India? Means, why was it toilet man? Means, I have been associated for a long time with you, but I really thought that I should ask it in public. Why did you choose toilets to be your passion?
Basically, it was not a chosen passion, of course, because as I told you, we were doing audits. Okay, so when we were doing audits at the ground level, we found many toilets being made, but the contamination alongside are also going high, and there is nobody to take care of the contamination part. So everybody is making toilet only. So we thought we should do something where the contamination should be as less as possible, and we should actually help rejuvenate Mother Earth with some water, which actually can be helpful for the next generation. So that was the thought behind it. And as I told, I think Anirban once again is aware of many things, but I don't have any shyness to tell this in the forum as well. When we actually brought this product and we were actually going ahead with bigger forums to implement this one, nobody practically believed that human waste can become reusable water and you can actually use it for gardening and flushing. Okay, so it took a lot of, I think, a mammoth time for us to explain people. But as it is said, if the sun has to shine, it will. So one fine evening, we got a call from Bolpur, the then SDO of Bolpur, who said that they have some green males willing for this Joydev folk Mela, and they wanted to, because previously they were making toilets by the sandbed and they were making it into sand pits later on after the finish of the program. So that is where we got a first opportunity to showcase our products and services, and we have been enough lucky that we got noticed, and I think there's been no look back after that. So the positioning of the product was very important, and I think later to that, if I recall correctly, that when the product went for certification from NSIC and Ministry of MSME, they took a lot of time because there is nobody to understand this file, that what it is all about. And with a lot of personal intervention later on, there was one assistant director who was an engineer and he's currently placed in Ranchi. So he took up the file and said, I have placed your file separately because I wanted to read it thoroughly to understand what is it. But every time my, clerk will put some other file on top of it, and every day I forget to manage about your file. So he was a key person who actually visited our workshop and understood the entire model. And then he recommended it. And later to that, in 2018, I think December, the Ministry of MSME, recorded us as the Toilet Man of Bengal. And that is how this Toilet Man of Bengal fame came to a common man. A common man, it may be the story of a common man to a toilet man.
In fact, this Toilet Man name came to me before Arijit Banerjee came to me. I
Sorry?
heard of, in fact, this Toilet Man of Bengal, this name, this caption came to me before you personally came to me. I knew the Toilet Man of Bengal before I knew Dr. Arijit Banerjee.
Yeah, right. I'm enough, thankful to the ministry for this kind of recognition. I think we are doing a very minuscule of whatever we can do in this entire pan-India projects and all. But currently we have almost 7,000 personal installations across the country, and we manage many labor colonies as well, because our main focus is to manage where you cannot manage it. So that's the brain behind the business.
Good. So just two more questions we'll take. One is a very general and very specific question in that manner. Could you name a few institutes where you could learn social entrepreneurship? Someone has asked about that. Any institute to groom entrepreneurship or social entrepreneurship?
See, I think IIT is doing this. IIT Kharagpur has recently come up with advanced management diploma programs where I also keep teaching. So, but that is very sporadic. They have 1 or 2 sessions in the entire year, which is a 7 to 10 days duration, if I'm not wrong. Others I'm not very aware, but this is a very relatively new topic and many universities are taking this up. I'm sure if you follow the websites, I think the updates are given in our website as well, which is ramesisrpl.com. So if you follow the updates on our websites, you'll be able to find it.
Possibly we will also try with Ramesis, maybe CMA will also try to do something of similar nature.
Right.
Last question is how to predict the sustainability aspect for any new venture towards social cause. Is there any thumb rule that you follow?
Not really, because life do not have a thumb rule actually. और अगर आप thumb rule ढूंढने जाओगे तो अंगूठा दिखा के चले जाएगा ऐसा. But but that's on a lighter note. But yes, of course, your cause has to be very strong. I think if you are taking up a cause, your cause has to be very strong. That is what the entire analysis is all about. आई थिंक सोशल एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप सुनने में बहुत अच्छा लगता है, जब टीवी में आके बोलते हैं बहुत अच्छा लगता है, but nobody sees the struggle story behind that. So you have to accept the fact that you will have regular heart attacks and you can actually jelify that, then only come to social entrepreneurship. There is no thumb rule otherwise.
I'm always with you, sir. I'm always with you.
See, especially your attacks will come on the or start coming from the 24th of the month. Okay. When you knew you have to pay the salaries in next 10 days.
Now that is a thumb rule.
That is the thumb rule.
Okay.
और उससे ज्यादा भी है क्या, आप जब देखोगे ना अपने लिए कुछ नहीं बच रहा है फिर भी आपको एफडी तोड़वा के पैसा देना पड़ रहा है.
No salary, but you have to give salary.
Yeah, you have to give salary. See, ethically you have to give it because they have worked for you, so it is your moral responsibility.
Absolutely, that is
even
what
you have to give it to a non-performer also because he has not performed.
No, that is what entrepreneurship is all about. It's about giving jobs also. So yes, in any case, as you said, it is being an entrepreneur itself is being a social, giving back something to the society.
Right.
Finally, just one, Dr. Devaprasad Chattopadhyay would maybe like to comment something. Sir, if you want to say something.
Need to be unmuted. Yes, thank you. See, there was a question in the chat box I just noted about institutes which have course on social entrepreneurship. In all humility, may I put it across that the institute that I represent, Global Business School, apart from the 2 years MBA program that we offer, we have certain things or a particular thing called beyond education. And in that beyond education, we have a module called Embryon, where we groom budding entrepreneurs. Many of our alumni, they have become successful entrepreneurs. So we invite them to the campus. They provide tutelage to our existing students. Even they provide seeding money also. Because Indranila was asking, I heard about funding agencies. So they provide seeding money. The other part of beyond education is we have a trust called KYLF, Kalyani Youth Leadership Forum. There we are tied up with old age homes. And there, we do different type of activities like, holding birthday parties for the inmates, geriatric inmates, and different other activities. So when we talk of chartered course for social entrepreneurship, our Embryon and KYLF, this offers under beyond education, some amount of tutelage or some amount of learning as to how to become an entrepreneur. And as Dr. Banerjee rightly said, how to become a social entrepreneur. So this is what I wanted to humbly put across.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, sir. So nice of you, sir. Thanks a lot.
I would just like to add, Anirban, to what Professor said. As I was telling, in my entire episode, that every social entrepreneurship has a timeline as well. So the cause cannot be never-ending. It has to have a gestation period and a timeline for finish off as well. So when we talk about finish off, I was telling that in another 15 years, possibly this awareness program and the very program of Swachh Bharat and hygiene will die down. Okay, it will not be required anymore. So every entrepreneur has to plan the next set of social cause they want to work for. So personally, I am also into that juncture where possibly we have covered almost 7-8 years now, and we are also in a position to jump off to another cause. So that's very important in terms of social entrepreneurship. And I'd also like to, since this is a very rich forum and enriched with knowledge and their absolute presence, I would like to declare the cause that we are going to work for in the next 1 decade. We are the first organization who are actually coming up with a home for the mentally ill, the mentally challenged. And that's the cause that we are working for. Currently, we have the land acquisition done, and in the name of Artemis Fountain Foundation and Behala Navoprayash, we are trying to make a rehabilitation center, a school, engagement center, and of course, a daycare cum residential project center, which will be one of its kind in Eastern India, I'm sure. So that's another set of social cause or the social entrepreneurship that we are going to work in the future. Maybe the next 10 years will be made for that. And I'm happy Anirban is also a part of that project, and he has very humbly been and silently been patronizing the same ever since he has joined our cause. Thank you, Anirban, for being there.
I'm privileged. I'm privileged to be a part of something that you have been doing for so long. It's a learning experience, and I hope that I really believe that everyone who is in this forum and who is even not in this forum does something or the other which can socially affect people, which can socially change lives, which can make lives easier for us to live every day. With that note, I would request everyone to actually think of being a social entrepreneur in your own way. It may not really have something to do with finances. It can always be something to do with the goodwill that you have within yourself, which Arijit has always shown, which in fact everyone, Dr. Chattopadhyay, who is also my mentor, he has always been a prolific supporter of that cause. Banerjee is there. I can see Mr. Jimmy Tangri has also joined. I'm really happy that they are listening to us. So it's a very rich forum, as you said. So thanks to all of you. Let's make some difference every day that we can do ourselves. To the students
Jimmy,
who have
thank
joined.
you for joining. Jimmy has been the one instrumental in getting us married, actually.
So, Jimmy sir, are you listening? Means I know that you're listening, but can you unmute and say something about this? Maybe not. Means he might be in the studio. Anyways, so thanks to all of you for joining. I thank Dr. Arijit Banerjee once again for taking time out of his schedule, because I know his schedule pretty well. And thanks to ma'am also for allowing him to take this time out, because I know that ma'am, if not now, but later, would listen to what I'm saying. So I'm keeping my, I'm also keeping my, statements very forward. Just one thing to everyone those who have joined. After this, I'll be sharing with you the e-certificate links on the screen, and also I'll be sharing on the chat box. We'll be having this members forum every Friday. Fortunately, thanks to the members, they have shown pretty much interest in all these. And for the next 1 month, we have all the Fridays filled up with the members forum sessions. So thanks to all of you for joining once again. Thanks to Dr. Arijit Banerjee.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was an honor, absolute honor.
It was our privilege to listen to you. And to all of you, please stay tuned on the screen, because I'll be showing to you the e-certificate link. You can scan it, you can take the link and get your e-certificates. Mr. Banerjee, you want to say something?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Arijit, for your time and with your knowledge for sharing in this particular forum. We look forward to get ourselves engaged more and more. Hopefully that that whole thing will spread faster, and people will understand this is also a great career options, and where you can contribute more so, as the many of the organizations are trying to be SDG compliant. Still it is a nascent stage, but I think that particular domain is free, where the new budding managers can operate. This is my small understanding, and definitely look forward to. And thank you again, and thank you all the members for your time and presence.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.